Congress wants answers from the NBA on the gambling scandal that has rocked the sports world. The House Committee on Energy and Commerce is asking for a briefing from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver by the end of this week. Joining us now with more on how the scandal will impact the league's global brand and reputation is Americus Reed, Wharton School professor of marketing and a CNBC contributor. Professor, it's good to see you. I don't know whether you know any more than we know, but is this it mostly, do you think? Or is it like we're pulling on a string and suddenly the whole sweater starts disappearing?
Well, I like your approach, Joe. I think it's we have to wait and see here. I think as to the question of, well, what's the impact going to be in terms of the fans and the NBA as a brand, I think we have to also wait and see as well, because there's at least two things in between the fans and the brand of the league, and that is the teams themselves and the players. And so for fans to want to disengage from the NBA brand, that would require a very high threshold of somehow perceiving that these sorts of gambling problems are systematic and somehow the league is complicit in either allowing this or facilitating this or maybe even being a part of it and things of that nature. So until that threshold is perceptually crossed, we're not looking at very much damage that I don't think I can perceive in terms of how the fans are going to react to the brand.
Americus, will it all come out, do you think? There's just times when I think about how much money we're talking about here. And how important, like, the big stars are. And I assume that, you know, if there was something that we need to know, that we would know it. But can I bank on that? So there wouldn't be like, oh, my God, we need this to stop right where it is and not spread to some of the biggest names in the league. I don't know why anyone's involved. I don't know why Terry Rozier's involved with, what was he making, $24 million a year or something? I like cash, too. I like, you know, you get a bunch of, it's fun. All of a sudden someone brings you 10,000 cash, but he could go to the bank and take out that. I don't really understand how it works.
Well, it's a great point, Joe. I think you're hitting the nail on the head here. We're probably at a little bit of the tip of the iceberg here in terms of the full amount of information that's going to eventually come out. I think the important point to sort of realize here, Joe, is the idea that, you know, gambling is a human problem. It's not a problem that's specific to professional basketball players. And in fact, one could make the argument that, you know, addiction is the big problem here, in the sense that why would you put your intergenerational wealth and $24 million salary at risk here to get a couple of bucks? So, you know, that's out there, and certainly that's something to be thinking about. But I think the bigger picture here, as you're pointing to, Joe, is that you have all these players. And I think what's happened in recent years is that the players themselves are brands. So people are following the players, and they understand that these are individual actors in an ecosystem. And so if there are some bad actors, if Chauncey Billups gets pulled into something, he's a phenomenal Detroit Piston icon, certainly a world champion. If he gets pulled into something, that's one independent agent that's perhaps doing something, and fans can dismiss that because they understand that there are lots of sort of parts here. And the important thing for Adam Silver to realize is that he's got to get ahead of this and basically tell the story that the league is very serious about this, validate the concerns, and talk about the plan to make sure that this gets rooted out.
Yeah, maybe we can just realize that with how much people gamble now, and the way you can gamble with, instantaneous, that was never possible before. I mean, it goes back all the way to, the early 1900s, obviously, with what happened in baseball and everything else, and it was mob involvement back then, too. But maybe this should be expected, since, you got prop bets, or you can bet on whether someone's going to hit a free throw while it's happening. So are there other sports where it's as easy to do that with, do you think, Americus? It seems like, you can't really gauge whether you're going to hit a home run or not hit a home run. I mean, it's so rare. Or I guess you could flub a ground ball or something at an important, but it just seems more difficult to do this. It seems like basketball is just set up for where it's easier to do something like this. Is that true?
I think that's a fair point, Joe. And I think that, I don't think any of the other professional sports are amenable to this sort of problem. The question is whether basketball, this is more potentially prevalent or easier to do in basketball, I think is an interesting point. I think the bigger point that, zoom out on is to say that this is where the league can get into trouble because they have, legal betting partners that they operate with. And so, you're walking that fine line between, what should we tolerate here in terms of what's legal and what's not legal. Obviously, you can't tolerate illegality, but you have to sort of put your foot down and say, hey, we need to root this out wherever we can. I think all sports should be doing that.
I shouldn't talk because this was tens of millions of dollars. I bet tens of dozens of pennies on things, but I get sick to if I'm betting $5 or something, and as I see the game not going my way, puts me in a bad mood, and it has nothing to do with. I have a parlay. I could win like $90 or something, but when it doesn't happen, I get in a bad mood. I might stop, Americus. Maybe that's. Do you bet? Do you have a DraftKings account, Americus?
I do. I do not, Joe. But I love the fact that you're a walking intervention billboard here for those that are struggling perhaps with this. It's something to take a look at because you said
I'm going to if I start going up where it starts becoming actual material to anything, I'll let you know. At this point, literally, it's tens of dozens of pennies. But and I love doing it. So I don't want things to go south from here, Americus. Thank you.